Hello and welcome to the Gone Traveling podcast. We are talking about the BKT EuroCup, the road to greatness, round 17 in the books. Plenty to talk about with the man over there in Valencia, Sergio Llebres. Sergio, how you doing?
Hi David, I'm doing good. Almost 1 week to finish this marathon of the BKT EuroCup, and there's some games we need to look.
We wanted chaos and we've
Yeah,
gotten chaos.
yeah, we still with some ties that are quite interesting, and a few teams that are on the line to get on the in the playoffs or getting eliminated. So pretty interesting. Yeah.
I think you said last week we'll know a little bit more this week.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
Not sure. We do know three more teams. So seven of the 12 spots in the playoffs have been locked up. Turk Telekom, Cedevita, Jerusalem. They all joined Bahcesehir, Valencia, Tel Aviv, and Gran Canaria, who had been in before. But we still have five spots. And we still have a four-team tie in Group A at 9 and 8. Buducnost, Besiktas, Ulm and Wolves. Three of those teams will advance, and then we have three teams tied at 9 and 8 in Group B: Cluj, Borg, and Reyer, and two of those teams will advance. We only know the first place team in both groups. That's the only things that we know for certain as far as placement and teams being in the playoffs. We know that seven teams are in the postseason, but we only know two actual spots. And I really feel for the guys over at EuroCup who will be doing the permutations and trying to figure out who
Yeah.
needs to win by how many points against who, and then yeah, I for their sake, I really wish that they could, give that over to a Chat GTP or something like that. I think that would be, I think that would be a lot more helpful. But we'll see. We have loads and loads of talk about, and let's start off with a game that we both kind of had this one high up on the radar of good games to watch, and it kind of turned into a dud. Borg playing against Jerusalem, and it was actually in France. And I think Fatou, the head coach, I think he said afterwards it was a joke. 94-67 victory for Jerusalem. Huge loss for Borg. And that's the game you want to talk about first.
Yeah, kind of unexpected, not the result in itself, but the great differential Jerusalem made. Here, always, Jared Harper is the guilty one, the star.
The
But
guilty one.
yeah, yeah, it's
He's the assassin.
the assassin. Yeah, it is. But and maybe we can talk about the MVP run because. If Jerusalem gets the second place finally, he has a lot of arguments to get the MVP because no one is making his numbers. But yeah, kind of unexpected that in the last home game for Bourges, they get an almost 30 loss. I didn't expect that. They went from a very good team, maybe a contender like the last season, to a borderline playoff team. So they are getting worse. I don't know why. Maxime Salas was another again the the most the greatest guy in the team. So a guy that didn't show up to be the first guy in the team is now in two consecutive rounds, getting the start. So it's unexpected for me, and yeah, Bush didn't get what was necessary to stop Jared Harper as any team really. So Hapoel controlled the game with defense and physicality, but um, there was two partials that were killing for Bourges, a 4-16 partial in the first quarter, and then with the 31 points of Jared Harper, it was impossible. Also, Karim Carrington is the perfect second guy for Jared Harper. Another time he scored 15 points, and yeah, Harper and Morgan Harper, we are not very used to see him not to percute from the perimeter a lot, but this time he was great from the perimeter. He has good percentages. He has good efficiency in the perimeter, but he doesn't really use a lot the triple. He always goes for the rim or the free throw line. So another great win for Hapoel Jerusalem that advances from Cedevita Olimpija. The Israelis surpassed them, the Slovenians, because Cedevita lost to Valencia, but both teams are now in the playoffs. So this is in the round 18. It's going to be a real battle to get the ticket for the quarterfinals and not the eighth.
Jared Harper, 14 of 15 free throws. It was the one, two,
Incredible. Yeah.
three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10th time in 16 games that he's at least 10 free throws,
Yeah.
averaging 10.8 free throws, averaging 7.7 fouls received. We talked about this early on in the season. And the thing about Borg was that, it was they came into the game with with a 3-game winning streak. Okay, first 2 games were at home against Ljubljana and then Aris, but they came up with the huge win last week against Cedevita, and then just a total dud. It was totally unexpected. All right, so my turn,
Mhm.
and I'm going to talk about the other massive game. There were a lot of huge games, but the other massive game was Turk Telekom and Reyer in Istanbul, in Ankara, in Turkey, and Reyer had been one of the hottest teams in the league. We didn't talk about them for a while, 7-2 in their last 9, and it was an 11-point lead, and I thought, no way, they're not going to lose this game. It was with all of those leaders, that experienced coach, those the big games that those Reyer players have been in, etc. I didn't see a 14-0 run coming. I didn't see 35 points being scored by Turk Telekom in the fourth quarter. Huge shout out to the Turks for putting down that result. Obviously, that puts them in a very strong position to grab second place in the group, get that automatic spot into the quarterfinals. And Brian Angola, we've been talking about him. He missed some time, came up with a huge 17 points. Kyle Alexander, 9 of 11 free throws. We mentioned Jared Harper, Alexander, 4 massive free throws down the stretch to secure the win. And this is Angola had been out, played last week, but had missed the 5 games before that, and he's averaging 18.4 points a game. So huge win for Turk Telekom.
Yeah.
Reyer is still outside the playoffs in 7th place, but obviously, as we've been talking about, there's still the unbelievable head-to-head, unbelievable 3-way tie, etc. So it's not over yet for them, obviously, but huge win for Turk Telekom.
Yeah, Reyer had a great opportunity here to win a direct rival and maybe
And
position.
had it won, That's the
Yeah,
thing too.
yeah, and they were winning and they trust the game in the fourth quarter. They won the first three quarters, and then to receive 35 points when you are on the line to get a playoff spot, I think that's a good for Turk Telekom and their offense, but I think Venice should have been more active on the defensive end, and uh, you cannot also you have a guy that has a always a 2010 well 2018 game as Cavengele had 20 points 18 rebounds, and you're not able to get profit of that. I know the roster is not very long, but well, they have now Magruder, Manford, and Casarin, Wilcher. They have great guys, but maybe another guy should have shown up for this game. And it's a pity for Venice that they started very bad the season because of the injuries, and they have a very good opportunity to redeem themselves. So everything is going to be set in the last round. Yeah,
Yeah, and this is not a team that any team who's higher ranked is going to want to play
yeah,
in the final
exactly,
in the playoffs for sure.
exactly.
All right, let's move to
Yeah,
the next section, and that is our players that we want to talk about. And you want to talk about uh,
Yogi,
s-
Yogi Ferrell.
some youngster
Yeah,
over at Buducnost, Yogi Ferrell. He is now, what's he at? 31 year old over in Buducnost.
yeah, Buducnost that was, if I'm not wrong, in the sixth place, and now they are fourth with this win because of the point differential and tiebreakers. Uh, I had them with the most dangerous position because of the games they had. Uh, because besides Juventud is eliminated, Juventud is playing great lately. So I this ninth position for Juventud in the EuroCup isn't real right now. In the Spanish league, they are a force, literally. So I had my doubts, but if you remember, I said that Buducnost needed a real point guard, but now Yogi Ferrell got the
Yeah, right answered your call last week, and this week
yeah,
it's Ferrell.
yeah. Thanks for the and Yogi Ferrell in the moment it mattered the most. He had his best game, 24 PIR, 20 points, 5 assists, and great percentages from the 3 pointer. He had 6 of 7 from the perimeter, so great for him. And now he has a 37% of efficiency in the beyond the arc. But yeah, they needed a point guard, but now they got a leader in Ferrer, and you can see that when a players are real veteran, and I think this game was crucial for their season. So props to them, and also they had a very balanced scoring and depth because Jovanic, Kamenjas, also Fletcher McGee had his 10 points, Tanasovic also 10 points. So the team was really on the game, and this had a lot of playoff implications, we know. So win for them. And yeah, Yogi Ferrell's for me the guy of this round because of the implications of the win, basically. Yeah.
And that win was 107-75 over Juventud. Juventud had already been eliminated before the game.
Hmm.
First time that they haven't been able to get out of the regular season. They, of course, went to the quarterfinals last year, semifinals the year before that. Last 5 seasons in the EuroCup, every time making it out. I did want to mention that it actually last week actually forgot to mention it was the return of Michael Rusic, obviously the fantastic 18-year-old Croatian talent for Juventud. The fact that the team was already eliminated gave the coaching staff a chance to play a couple of other youngsters. Adrian Torres de la Torre uh, got his first EuroCup points in 9 minutes, and then Ian Plateau, 2007 born, played his got his first real action. Had 14 minutes, 4 points, and 4 rebounds. People who know me know that I like to bring up the youngsters. So there's your youngsters report for Juventud.
Yeah.
And yeah, now it's focus on ACB and forget about this year with the Euro Cup. My guy is Caleb Homesley. Big victory for Gran Canaria. They knocked off Besiktas 90 to 81. That secured a top three spot for them. And a couple of the main things for them was that they scored 90 points. This was a team that this was the first time, just the second time this season they scored 90 points. The other one was that just unbelievable 125 that they scored against Ulm in round five. It's a team that was 17th in offensive points coming into the game. And so to drop 90 against Besiktas, which is a pretty solid defensive team, was pretty impressive. And Homesley went for 18, had 20 points last week. And, this is a guy that the Euro Cup actually saw back in 21-22 with Hamburg, which was actually his debut in European basketball. And he was second team all Euro Cup. Went over to Zenit St. Petersburg, then to Tofas, where he played in the BCL, and now he's at Gran Canaria. Helped St. Petersburg with Xavi Pascal reach the VTB United semifinals, and then reach the BCL quarterfinals last year with Tofas. And you look at the guy and you're like, wow, this is a really athletic and really fun, entertaining player. I saw this already back in 21-22 when obviously I followed the German league. So sitting at Hamburg, this is a guy that tore his ACL in his senior year of high school. And then early on in his sophomore season in college, tore his ACL and MCL in the other knee. So he's gone through two ACL injuries. And when he was, and this just, we all see what he can do, but he was at Liberty, and before he tore his ACL in December 2016, was leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. You're like, yeah, of course. You see what he does. So it's he's a fantastic player. It's been wonderful watching. Happy to have him back in the Euro Cup after having him in 21-22. Your thoughts on Caleb Homesley?
Caleb Homesley is the Mr. Fourth Quarter for me this season. He's he went nuts in a lot of games this season, and in Gran Canaria, a team that doesn't really score a lot of points in any situation because they are a very coral group. They need a guy like this. They also need guys like Pierre Pelos, George Condit. They have very specific role guys, but you always need a leader in basketballs in today's basketball. So for me, in terms of Spanish league, is one of the, if not the best signing of the season because of his influence on the game. And yeah, he's got 38 points in the last two games, and Gran Canaria is there because of him. Juventud also has this coral group, but didn't have this type of guy all the season. If Sam Decker was since the beginning of the season, I think another situation would be for Juventud, and this guy, although he's only averaging 13 points. He had a rough time during rounds from round 11 to 14, but he's very consistent besides that time. So top five player for me offensively in the EuroCup, really.
Let's move to the next game. This is a game that plenty of NBA scouts were watching.
Yeah,
According to Jonathan Givoni, 22 NBA teams were represented there in Ljubljana, watching Cedevita against Valencia. We don't like talking about Valencia because there's not much to talk about. So, but they struggled a little bit against Cedevita. Ended up winning only 72 to 66. Of course, we talked about Sergio de la Rey in the past.
yeah.
But this game had another guy that the scouts were really drooling about, looking forward to watching, and that is your surprise.
Yeah, John Beringer, I think he went on a lot of under the radar during the beginning of the season, and now he's emerging like a very profitable guy in Europe. Uh, Also, his friends, that I think that's a plus in today's scouting world, because in France there's a lot of talent. So
There's something in the water over there in that
yeah,
country.
it's incredible. They have longer arms. They are taller. They are more talented. I don't know why. So in that game, not I wanted to talk about Beringer because not because of the game that was quite interesting for both teams, and also had the implication of Cedevita playing for that second spot. But Joan Beringer played almost 30 minutes because of Stepanovic's miss the game because of an injury, I think. So he went nuts in defense. He had blocks for everyone. It is registered that he had 3 blocks, but I saw more than 3, I swear. And also he changed a lot of shots in the defense under the rim. He blocked Ojele. He blocked guys like that are stars in this competition at only 18 years old, and he was a force in the zone against Amida Brima. He had to play against experimented and physical players like Brima or Costello, that is a EuroLeague caliber player, and he had a very good game in a situation where 30 plus scouts are watching you, also the area, but this had a little bit of pressure for him, and he had his best game of the season in the EuroCup when it mattered the most for the team and for himself. So it was very interesting, and if you guys haven't watched the film of this game, I recommend it to you because it's incredible. The how the potential of this player, because he's been professional for 4 months or 3 months. He was in the youth team, and Mitrovic decided to make him a professional contract 3 or 4 months ago. So this is his really first steps in basketball, and he's now in the mock drafts of the NBA. Yeah,
He's been so he really went under my radar. I didn't really realize that he had gone over to Cedevita. Came up in the Strasbourg system. Actually played with the next gen team in Dubai, where really did a pretty good job, and then was sort of the yeah. I mean, any team where you have Noah saying and Nolan Traore, you're not going to be,
yeah, of course.
you're not going to get a lot of attention. That was the under 18 European Championship. Still had 9 points, 5 rebounds, and a block, more than a block a game. But he made the jump over to Cedevita. Really interesting move going over there, and and he's a guy who has really taken off in the last 3 games.
Yeah,
The last 3 games, he's let's see here. Where am I? Last 3 games, he's scored. Is this Beringer? Yeah. So he scored 22 points. 22 points, 27 rebounds, 12 of those offensive rebounds, plus 8 blocks, maybe more, as you said, and 43 PIR in those 3 games, shooting 60% from the field for the season. So,
yeah.
a guy who I mean, if he does get drafted, then we won't see him at the under 19 World Cup. But depending on what happens, if he does, kind of go up in the scouts books, then maybe we won't see him. It would be really nice. And France, I'm sure, would love to have him at the under 19 World Cup. So yeah, big props to Juan Berger, who's really had a great season this year. My guy. My surprise is Kenan Sipahi over at Bahcesehir, a an important victory for the college. They beat Ulm 85-81, and Sipahi in just his third game had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and he had actually this was his third game with them and had 11 points and 6 assists in the game last week against Tel Aviv. And we talked a lot about the addition of Furkan Korkmaz, and obviously we've talked about so many different players on Bahcesehir, and this is a guy that we haven't really talked about at all. He left Pinar Kashayaka in January and came over. Played in the BCL earlier this season, but the guy's still only 29. And let this sink in for a second. So he's 29. He debuted in the EuroLeague in 2013 for Fenerbahce at 18. 2013 as an 18-year-old, he played in the EuroLeague. He played 4 seasons in the EuroLeague, 57 games. You don't think that necessarily that this guy has seen all of this, done all of this. Think about that. 11 years ago, he debuted, and now he's a guy that I've always loved to watch. I love his game. He could do so many different things and really doesn't, push himself forward in any way. He does whatever the team needs to be done, and so I'm really happy that Sabai's come over, and really happy that he's playing well for Bahcesehir.
Yeah, and Garcia needs a episode apart to talk about. And players like him had to get out. So um, he had the potential, and I don't know why he wasn't still in Fenerbahce. Then he went to uh, Zaragoza and Besiktas. That I don't know why he stood in the EuroLeague. Because he's been always talked about the Turkey national team, and I remember when I was quite younger to see him in Fenerbahce. So it surprised me that he didn't continue in EuroLeague. Yeah,
I mean, you get big coaching change,
yeah,
and then you make a move, and then you come back, and he did actually play EuroLeague as well so played 3 years of EuroLeague for 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 15, 16 mean for Kashiaka, and then did actually finally come back to the EuroLeague in the 2020-21 season for Fenerbahce, but been kind of bouncing around Turkish teams since then. Yeah. So, all right. So we wanted it. And before we do that, anything else you want to talk about round 17? Or
oh,
let's look ahead.
I'm waiting for 18. I don't
Let's
want
go.
no more 17.
18. We wanted the chaos. We wanted the craziness, and we are right there. As we mentioned, seven of the 12 spots have been locked up. 4-team tie in Group A. 3 of those teams will advance. 3-team tie in Group B at 9 and 8. 2 spots available still in that group. Games you're looking forward to most in round 18, the last round of the regular season.
Yeah, I think there's one game that it's impossible to not look for. That is Wolves against Buducnost. That's everything there. That's everything, and also in level wise, in quality, I would say Ulm against Tel Aviv, because it seems like a very good game. Yeah, simply.
And I imagine that Ulm game could probably have a number of scouts there as well. That's the Wednesday before the next gen EuroLeague starts on Friday there in Ulm. So maybe some
Yeah.
scouts might be wanting to see Saraf and Esseng do their thing. Of course, Wolves and Buducnost are both tied at 9-8. Ulm's at 9-8. Tel Aviv's up there at 11-6. Reyer really can't afford to lose. They are playing at home against Lietkabelis. Lietkabelis showed that they, can be a thorn in your side as they, shocked. Cluj, we didn't talk about it, but Cluj was up by 12 points with 5 minutes left in the game. Knew that if they won that game, they were through. And Lietkabelis came back, won it on a floater with 2.2 seconds left. So Reyer had best be on their, had their best game. Cluj have a must win, I would say as well, playing at Aris. And then Borg, man. I remember way back, we were like, yeah, Borg against Valencia, could Borg maybe hand Valencia their first loss of the season, and then Valencia blew their doors out, and now Borg getting demolished against Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Borg has a tough road, man. I mean, if you think, if Reyer win and Cluj win, and Borg are unable to win, it's bye finalists. They will be on the outside looking in. So loads and loads and loads and loads to watch next week. Anything else?
No, that's the one of the keys of the Group B. And Valencia has one of the keys on its hand, without having nothing on to play for. So kind of interesting because Bourges has all the responsibility here. Yeah.
We did not mention actually Besiktas. Obviously, they have a tough. They have a must-win game at home. Yeah, at home against Trento. Obviously, Trento's already eliminated, so Trento would love to play spoiler there, but yeah. Yeah, that's it. In case you're wondering, we are figuring out what we're gonna do for the time off between the regular season and the eighth. What do they call it? I call it round of 16. I think they call it the eighth finals. So we will have some shows there. Sergio, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on the social medias?
Yeah. Llebres 11, Jabelel EBRES 11.
And I am at Hein News, HEINNEWS, and those are both Sergio and mine are both also on Blue Sky. So if you're over there, send us a message. Send us a message on Twitter, on Blue Sky, whatever. Let us know your thoughts. If you're enjoying the podcast, if you're enjoying this amazing road to greatness, Sergio, we are one group of games left before we know the playoffs. Can't wait for the next week's games.
Can't
With
wait.
that, we will call it a show. This has been the Gone Traveling podcast looking at the BKT EuroCup. We are out.